I will go step by step through the process of how to create this tiltable family house. Let's have a look. What I'm talking about, look, in here you've got 4 views of the same family. This is at the socket faceplate from the left, from the front, from the top, and at the symbol. Now let me rotate this socket so it's flat on the floor. Let's go back to the wall mounted socket. Rotate this by 90 degrees in X plane. Now let me tilt this 45 degrees to the right. There we go. Look at the symbol remains as it was. Let's go back and tilt it at the 45 degrees the other direction. Let's go back to normal. Let's just tilt it in the Y plane by 90 degrees. Right, let's see. Sweet. You can do this with any Revit family, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. Okay, let's first start from understanding which axis we can rotate the family on. On this image, you can see the floor plane as a reference, and if you looked from the top on that floor, the X and Y references will be presented by those 2 planes here, and then Z is looking down. If you imagine the cube here is a plane, if you wanted to raise the cube up, you will pitch up its nose by X plane. If you wanted to roll left or right, you will rotate the Y plane. And likewise, if you just wanted to change direction of the plane, you would rotate by the direction Z plane. Bear in mind, if you rotate the family by X plane, let's say 90 degrees, the Z plane will be here. Then if you wanted to change its direction by looking at socket which is now on the wall, you would rotate the Z plane. It will become clear once you construct the base family. Okay, let's dive in. To make the host, we're using this Revit function of nesting families within. We need 3 levels of nesting. At each level, we're gonna rotate 1 axis. When we combine all of them together into one final family, then we can rotate the host in 3 directions. You need to go and create new family, and we're gonna choose metric, generic model, face based. That's the one you need to choose. Now let's save this as family and choose the name. In my case, I'm choosing the name PD for project design, generic model, C for component, and then rotation Y axis. By the way, the naming strategy, I'm just following a BIM guru strategy. He's one of the best organized I've seen out there. Save 1 copy. So now we have a family. Because we're going to rotate Y axis, we need to go to the front elevation. Let's hide this mass, double H. Let's hide this reference level, double H. So we only have the reference planes. We're going to create a sweep. If you want to create cube as an object, you will need to create another level of hosting. Okay, so in a front view, go create reference line. Start at the intersection of your reference planes. Click and do whatever length you want, whatever angle you want, but do it at an angle so you can clearly see it. Great. Now let's make it shorter. Let's make it 2 mil. I want really short line. And I'm gonna grab the end, move it to the center. And this is important. You need to constrain the end of that line to your reference planes. So go to alignment tool, align, select the tip, lock, align, tip, and lock. Perfect. Double check if it's locked, and it's locked. Now go create, sweep, pick path, pick your line, and okay that. Sweet. Now you need a profile. There's no profile loaded, so go load profile. And in the description, I send you a link to my website where you can read the instructions and also download the profile. So I'm gonna download the profile. The profile is loaded, so I just select that profile. Now let's go to your family and go new parameter. I'm gonna use shared parameter, dimensions, rotate Y, and okay that. Grouped under dimensions. Now, but you need to select this reference lane. Sometimes it's easier when you hide your object, your sweep. So double H that and go to dimension and select the angular dimension and add that to those 2 lines. If you can't quite see it, change the scale, say 1 to 5, and that was better. So now I've got this dimension. Now I will associate this dimension with my parameter and I will unhide. So look, if I now go to my family parameters, change its angle, it will rotate it to 0. If you go to reference level, you can see this is the profile, basically my logo, and you can just rotate this Y axis. 45, apply. If I go 90, apply. See? Right, let's go to 0. That's it. This is your first level of nesting. Let's hit save. And now we need to create another generic face-based family. So open another blank family. Right, we're going to save this as family and name it rotation Y, Z. So now we're going to add the Z plane rotation. Save. Go back to your previous first nesting family, rotation Y, and load into rotation YZ. And place this on face, so it's hosted to the extrusion. So if I go to the front elevation, it's basically hosted to that. Let's just make sure we are aligned in the center. So move this first, and then I will align so it's exactly in the center. You don't need to lock this. So we already rotating this plane, which is a Y plane. Now we're gonna rotate the Z plane. So we're gonna rotate this round, yeah? Okay, that's what we're gonna do. To do that, you go to reference level. We're already in reference level. And what I'm gonna do, I will rotate this ever so slightly. So now we're gonna add another angular dimension. Grab the center of your nested family to the reference plane and change the scale so we can see. Great. Now we need to add another parameter. So let's go to properties and add. And this time we need to add two parameters. First one you've used before because we need to link them. So rotate Y. Oh, by the way, they're instance. And then new one, dimensions. And now we're rotating a Z, and that's instant. Okay. Let me just edit that family, make sure I've applied the Y parameter as instance, and I didn't. So let's edit that and go instance, okay, and then load and close to my YZ. Yes, I want to replace it. And yes, I want to override. So okay, that's instance. Now when I select this object, I see my Y parameter. Now I link that my Y parameter to this newly added Y parameter in this family. Select your object, your nested Y family, and make sure you link those two Y parameters together. Now you see the other Z parameter is not visible. That's the one in here. This will become visible on the next nesting level. So that's it. To check if it's working. Right, so associate your Z parameter. Perfect. Now let's set this to 0. Perfect. Good. What we need now, we need to create another level of nesting. Okay, so before I close this family, I'm gonna create another generic model face-based. And I'm gonna save this as X, Y, and Z. Now let's load my YZ family into my XYZ. Load to project and close. Yes, save. And select a face and place it roughly in the center. Let's just zoom in. I'm moving it out of the way because we need to do another sweep. In this case, it will be the void sweep. So this is needed so we can rotate the X plane. To do that, we create void sweep. Exactly the same way as we did the first one, is the only difference is a void sweep. Also, what's important, because we're rotating X, we need to go to the left view. Go to the left view, hide this mask, and hide the reference level. Let's just ignore this, let's move it aside. Create reference line, exactly the same way as you did before. I just make it shorter, 2 mil. Well, best to move it, grab the end, move it right to the center. Now align. Lock, align, lock. Happy days. Check. Yes, locked. Now go create, void forms, void sweep, pick path, select, okay, profile, modify sweep. Load profile, the same profile as before, open, and select that profile. Okay, that. So now we've got our void. Now add dimension. Remember to choose the line. Right. If you prefer, you can hide the object. Let's change the scale so we can see stuff. And now we need to add parameters. We need to add the X, Y, and Z parameters. So go new, dimensions, rotation, Y, dimensions. It needs to be instance. Another one, select, dimensions, rotate, X, instance, and another one, shared parameter. You can do this as a family parameter, right? You just prefer. So my naming convention remains the same. because I'm using a lot of formulas everywhere. Rotate Z instance. Great. So now we're rotating X plane. So I'm going to attach this to my X plane. Now, what's best is to go to 3D view and let's hide this mass. Let's change the angle to 0. So obviously this is the top of my void. Now I need to host my nested family onto that void. So I'm highlighting the nested family, pick new, pick face. It's easier to do it when you look from underneath. So look now, if I look from the right. So I'm hosted to the top. At the moment I just leave it like that. Let's go to reference level and align. You see the one and the other is tilted 90 degree. This is not important. What's this? That's my void. Void is tilted. Ignore this. Let's just move this aside and now align to my reference plane. Okay. Now they're perfectly aligned. Go back to your 3D view, select your nested family and flip. So now they're just overlapping. This is what you want. So select your nested family and link Y parameter to Y parameter, link Z parameter to Z parameter. Remember, the X is a new parameter which will be linked at the next level. Before we go to the next step, I'm going to change the category of this family. I'm going to select site as a family type. I find the best family to choose for that purpose, okay? Let's OK that and save. I'm not going to close this family. I will create new generic model which is hostless. So you select this one, okay? Now we're gonna go back to XYZ and I load this to my new family I just created. Okay, and right, there's no face, so you can't place it on face. So you just place it on a work plane and that's fine. Align this to the center. Perfect. Now select your nested family. You see you've got all 3 parameters, but you haven't got any in here. So you need to add them here first. So let's add all the shared parameters, X, Y, and Z rotation. Dimensions, rotate X, instance, new, shared, dimensions, rotate Y, instance. And another one, shared, select, dimensions, rotate Z instance. Okay, that. Now I'm gonna associate those nested parameters with my top level parameters. So X, Y, and Z. Just to check if it's working, I'm gonna rotate X, let's say 45 degree, apply. I'm gonna rotate Y, let's say 45 degree, and rotate Z, that's the direction, 45 degree, perfect, and go 0. So now let's load any face-based family. Okay, before we proceed, I'm going to save this as PD electrical fixture and then let's say 2-gang socket. Yeah, so let's just go with that, okay? Okay, so this should be saved as your template where you just nest anything. You can do lights, furniture, whatever you want. It works with every single face-based family. So let's go to a face-based family. So you look, that's my socket. I'm going to load this to my socket. I'm going to place on face and select this as a face. Let's just move it out of the way just to make sure I can align this properly. And then look from the front, yeah, sits perfectly on this. Let's go back to reference level and let's see if it's working. So my socket is hosted on my base. Let's zoom out a little bit so you can see. Now I'm gonna rotate Z, so direction, 45, apply, beautiful, minus 45, apply, perfect, 0, apply. Now this is floor mounted socket at the moment, right? Let's make it wall mounted, 90 degree. Perfect. Okay, let's close that. Let's look at 3D view, front. And let's select that socket and rotate this, the Z plane now. Remember the cube pivoted, so it's 90 degree to the floor. So if you want to rotate horizontally, you now need to use the Z plane. 45 degree. Perfect. Minus 45 degree. Sweet. 0. Apply, apply. And let's change that just so you can see 90 degree. Right, if I look from the top and change the 90 degree Y to 1, perfect. So this is how you create a base, which is then used to rotate any family, any direction. This is as good as sliced bread, I think, and I'm not exaggerating. By the way, you can find all the step-by-step instruction on my website and the profile file and just build it yourself following this video on my guidance on the website. But if you would like to just download the base host from my website, just buy me a coffee. All the links are in the bottom in the description. I hope this is useful and thank you very much for watching.